22 African countries are facing a debt crisis. This is according to a report by One Campaign, an organization that's advocating for an end to extreme poverty and preventable diseases. Now, more governments on the continent are spending less on critical sectors like healthcare and education, owing to increased interest rates on these loans, which are depleting government revenues and weakening local currencies. The BBC's West Africa business reporter Nkechi Ogbonna has more.
24-year-old Dr. Vwaere Diaso knew Nigeria's crumbling health system was costing patients' lives. She didn't realize, however, it would take hers as well. Just 14 days to the conclusion of her internship at the Lagos General Hospital, a faulty elevator fell 9 floors with her inside. Dr. Joy Ifowokan was her colleague.
Dr. Vwaere died, one, as a result of the poor funding of the healthcare sector in general. But I also believe she died as a result of gross negligence. It's like dying in a place where you saved other people and on the day when you wanted to be saved. So this elevator has been faulty for as long as I can remember. I started working here in 2021, and as far back as 2019, I have senior colleagues who had worked there. It was not functional.
Nigeria's healthcare system is in crisis. Chronic underfunding has led to incessant strikes, a lack of infrastructure, and a mass exodus of the country's doctors.
Average salary of a resident doctor is less than $500 a month. It's terrible. We have people leaving. You have units being shut down.
In 2001, African leaders agreed to commit at least 15% of their country's annual budgets to healthcare. Nigeria currently spends just 5.75%. Here in Nigeria, inflation is currently a little over 24%, marred by soaring food prices and the cost of living. But this is a global phenomenon worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. In rich countries, interest rates have shot up in a bid to bring inflation under control. And this is having massive unintended consequences for countries like Nigeria.
Interest rate hikes are doing two things, not just making sure that the interests are high, but the appreciated dollar is also ensuring that countries need more of their local currency to pay back these loans.
African debt has been rising rapidly. It now stands at $655 billion a year. The sharpest rise has been debt to private lenders. Since the cost of that is connected to U.S. interest rates, as those have gone up, so will the cost of repayment. It is claimed that the cost to developing economies will be $56 billion compared to what they would have paid lenders like the World Bank. It has also led to warnings of a debt crisis.
Sometimes we talk about these interest rates rising, we talk about debt, and we forget that people's lives are actually impacted. So in April 2023, Kenya chose not to pay its civil servant so they don't default on their Eurobond payments. Ghana also cut their budget and allocation for health by nearly half.
The inflation crisis was not of Africa's making, but according to anti-corruption campaigners, not all the blame can be laid at other people's doors.
For many African countries, we're just not productive enough. We're not making enough money to fund infrastructure. That's one. Then, secondly, the money we have, we are not spending in the right priority. The cost of governance is high, that's true. Third is corruption. Even when monies have been budgeted and released, it's also not spent. It does not trickle down to the budgetary expense that you expect to infrastructure. So corruption affects it. So again, we must stop thinking about natural resource, what is buried on the ground, and think about human resource.
Debt experts have proposed that richer countries like the G20 should accelerate efforts to reform multilateral lenders like the World Bank and triple the volume of affordable investments available to low and middle income countries. But until debts are paid off and African governments cease excessive borrowing, essential services like health and education may continue to hang in the balance, with avoidable incidents like the loss of the late Dr. Diaso. Nkechi Ogbonna, BBC News, Lagos.